And now it's time for Fabulous Film and Friends. This week on Fabulous Film and Friends, we're giving our first impressions of Kevin Costner's Horizon, an American Saga Part 1. The actor-director headlines the production, along with Sienna Miller, Sam Worthington, Luke Wilson, Michael Rooker, Danny Huston, Will Patton, Abbey Lee, Jena Malone, Tatanka Means, James Russo, John Beavers, Jamie Campbell, Michael Angarano, Dale Dickey, and Jeff Fahey. I'm Gino Caputi, and joining me is my sister Roseanne Caputi and my good friend, actor, photographer, and gunslinger Gordon Alex Robertson. Alex, no hijinks, no funny voices. We're just going to get right into the synopsis.
You got it.
Horizon follows several characters in the American Old West whose lives and personal fortunes intersect on a settlement of land named Horizon, deep within Apache territory. And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, simplicity at
Pretty
its
much.
best. Simplicity at its best.
All right, so let's go around the room, starting with me. Thumbs up or thumbs down? I say thumbs up. Alex Robertson.
Thumbs up.
Roseanne Caputi.
I'm going to say thumbs down.
Whoa, thumbs down. All right, let's get into it. Why? Why thumbs down, Roseanne?
Okay. It's not like I hated it, but I couldn't unequivocally say, yes, I loved it. I didn't like the soundtrack. I thought it ruined the film, but also I thought it was really conventional. I didn't think there was, you said there was tension, but I didn't feel, I don't know, the characters themselves, I didn't feel like they were dangerous, except for Jamie Campbell. I felt like it was pretty one-dimensional. I felt like it was pretty this rounded where I wanted edge, I guess, because I think of the American frontier as just filled with strangeness. And I didn't feel any strangeness with this. I felt like stolid characters that, yes, we can get behind, but nothing that we haven't seen before.
Alex, what do you got to say on that matter?
Apart from slightly agreeing on the soundtrack, I gave it a second listen and compared it to Warren Ellis and Nick Cave, and thought, yeah, I could have used a little bit more of that gritty feel. I liked it maybe for the same reasons Roseanne didn't like it.
Which I could see, honestly.
For me, it really was, I mean, it really was a reminder of why we go to the movies. You know, it felt good just to be in a theater and to watch a movie that deserves to be seen in a theater. And I thought that Kevin Costner filled the space well. The stories are simple. I did feel the tension. There were some moments. I think a lot of it, too, was just sitting next to my wife, who really got into it. I mean, she was disturbed by a lot of the violence, which, fortunately, they don't get graphic. A lot of it's left to the imagination, but it still gets under your skin, the scalping scenes, for example. Going back to your synopsis, I mean, it is a simple story, but it's a simple, effective story. And it's just perplexing that the people that are complaining about it, and I think, to me, it feels arbitrary, that they're just finding reasons to complain about it.
Yeah,
to say it's confusing, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
It's not.
I disagree.
I don't feel that at all. I don't feel that it's
and
confusing, and I don't feel like it's
Answer me this, Roseanne. Answer me this. Is it any less conventional than Dune?
I think
Dune is not a cutting-edge, weird science fiction movie. It's as conventional as it gets. You know.
I do, however, think that Dune made choices that made it seem so. Austin Butler's weird black mouth and his creepy family. And
didn't seem unconventional though. For the it seemed like slick, well done, dark, but nothing. It's not in David Lynch territory. It's nothing we haven't seen before in terms of science fiction.
The other thing, though, with Dune is that it's multi-level. I don't see this as multi-level.
Well, I do.
I think it's gorgeous to look at, but I don't look at the characters and find them working on many. I don't look at Michael Rooker and see things, what?
No,
Shaking your
I'm
head.
shaking my head.
I don't
because
see Michael Rooker and seeing conflict within him. I see Michael Rooker as the one time Orson Welles was on Dolly Parton's show on TV, Dolly. Like, that's how it felt.
That's a very obscure reference.
Yes.
Nobody can relate to that.
It was a very...
Rewrite that reference. Nobody. People are going, what?
I'm not going to rewrite that reference. It was so weird.
All the kids are going, what the hell is she talking about?
Okay, but if they had been with my mom, our mom, watching Dolly on Sunday night, they would know.
I've just been thinking about it. Like, I loved Dune. It's big budget, extravagant filmmaking, but there's nothing. Dune isn't deep. It may be about
I feel like Dune asks
political
questions.
machinations, but it's not a deep movie.
I feel like it asks questions.
This movie maybe spells it out more.
It really spells it out. At least in Dune, they're not always saying. And they do talk about power and plenty of that out of the mouths of, Javier Bardem and stuff like that.
There's
that
a lot
is
of
true.
telling people what's happening.
At least they're not clutching a pamphlet that just says Harkonnen over and over and over and over as like a segue.
They might as well. How many times? Mudadim or whatever it is, whatever. It's all. Again, this to me is.
This is comparative morality. It's not
anyway,
important.
I'm just saying. Here's what I'm saying. Like I repeat, Alex. My premise to you is going to be: sometimes you do want just a story of heroes and villains and bad guys and engines,
That's fine.
and it does what it's supposed to do. And Kevin Costner and Luke Wilson and Sam Worthington are 3 square-jawed heroes, and I just want to see square-jawed heroes who kick ass. And sometimes we've been in such a rut of every character has to be a son of a bitch, whether it's Breaking Bad or The Shield, or we've just been in this rut for years of all our main characters have to be kind of evil and sleazy, where it's kind of nice just to see normal, regular, all-American folks conquering the frontier.
I'm 1,000% in.
But on top of that,
go ahead. Yeah. No, please,
well,
Alex.
If we want to talk about innovation or being innovative or being different, taking a conventional story like nothing more conventional than a Western. Mm-hmm. I think this does take it to a new level where we don't have the sons of bitches like Gino said, but the great thing is we don't really have definite heroes or villains. Because even in the beginning with the Indians attacking, we think, what a bunch of savage bastards. Here we go again, but then we see it from their perspective. And, the conflict among themselves, which isn't unique. But I like,
it's
so
not
you don't
unique,
have...
it's just needed.
It's needed, and you don't have clear heroes to root for. I mean, you root for everybody. It's like, I
thought it was interesting that the loyalties shift. When we're in the bar with a saloon with James Russo and Jeff Fahey, my loyalties shifted to the indigenous. I'm like, okay, they're gonna make that kid kill him, And so there were definite.
I liked that scene.
There were definite moments of tension. I think the movie had enough scenes that outweighed the things that were duds. Yes, we'll get into it because I'm all about film scores. John Debney is not the guy you get for your Western. He just isn't. He's the guy you get for your Disney movie. He's just that generic a composer. I don't know what the hell Costner was thinking. I don't know what. Maybe James Newton Howard's asking price is too high. I don't know.
Who knows?
But James Newton Howard, if you're going to go conventional, James Newton Howard is your guy, not John Debney. He's just too conventional.
Well, maybe it was the money. He bankrolled this out of his own pocket.
Yeah, but James Newton Howard,
which I do appreciate.
James Newton Howard's on the downturn. He's no longer a headliner anymore.
But do you think he could
be
still?
Cheap?
I imagine.
That scene where the Apache are breaking off into factions, which is interesting, should have been not underscored by sentimental flutes.
Okay, you're right, and we didn't need that.
Okay,
that was
we did not need that.
The Lion King moment.
Sure.
I mean,
it really was distracting because that's an interesting idea. Because plenty of tribes do.
I was surprised they weren't going in the background.
So I did feel like
it's a turkey score for sure.
It's a turkey score, and it unfortunately did make a lot of the Native American stuff seem more trivial and more Dances with Wolves-ish. which is
Yeah,
something, that I worry about with him anyway.
I hope I really am gonna pray like George Bailey's kids and pray that my prayer goes to heaven and reaches James Newton Howard and Kevin Costner, and I want them to make amends, and because the John Debney score was awful. Anybody listening?
Director's cut with James Newton Howard soundtrack. Is that what you want?
Yeah, it was. It's awful, but I still don't think it like Lady Hawk. It doesn't quite sink the movie.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be as harsh as you guys are, and I don't know. To me, it didn't. I think the visuals really make up for a lot in this movie.
Well, the visuals and the
are
performances.
amazing.
And the performances. Yeah, the performances and the visuals.
He's a good. Costner's a good director. We should
have
coupled it with Open Range, and Roseanne, you should watch Open Range, because for 2 hours of that 3 hour running time, 2.5 hours, it's amazing, and then he just shoots himself in the foot with one of the weirdest, clunkiest, most corniest endings you could have possibly asked for. And so
I will say, I think he is inclined to go towards corn. I think stolid, straightforward storytelling with the inclination to corniness always makes me, I think, a little uncomfortable.
Well, again, George Lucas' inclination toward corn. I mean, a lot of great directors go towards corn.
Well, sure.
It's okay. I think in this setting, I can accept it.
Like it.
No, but I can bypass the corn because the scene with Jamie Campbell was so good and interesting. It was like an interesting. That was a great scene. It's an interesting conversation. So Costner has these really good impulses when it comes to action, and he lets his characters he lets the tension grow, and okay, who's gonna do what now? And that I like that. And it feels very real. Okay, what is gonna happen here?
And like a generous performance on Kevin Costner's part, letting Jamie Campbell be really weird to his sort of stolid. And I like the fact that they're walking up that hill that whole time. I would say that's probably my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Same here.
That's a well done scene.
This is fucking weird.
Same here. Okay, so there's that. Might you say that scene had an edge?
It had a lot of edge.
I'm asking Roseanne Caputi, since she said the film has no edge and has round corners. Or rounded corners, or whatever you said.
No, okay.
Yes.
There's no such thing as round corners. I know, I'm a moron. There's no such thing as round corners.
Which I didn't say, let it be known.
Not my house.
Well, what did you say? Help me out here. I'm just a Kevin Costner loving,
I try not to
gunslinging fool.
I did think I would say that's the best scene in the film.
Okay, you telling me Dale Dickey doesn't have an edge? Dale Dickey is born with an edge.
Dale Dickey brings edge wherever she goes.
So
that's true.
You cast Dale Dickey in your movie, you got an edge.
Your edge.
And immediately, my wife's
when she starts womping on the boys.
What's going on?
Come on.
What's going on? I go, I think that was her husband who had the baby. So I don't know what everybody's confused about. I thought it was all pretty clear. All the reviews are saying disjointed, confusing.
No.
I don't know what was confusing. Were you confused?
And again,
Roseanne?
I go back to Roseanne's remark about the the segue with the piece of paper. But I feel like you want to go to these critics and say, well, look at the piece of paper. All points converge on Horizon. As long as you keep that in mind, all these stories make sense.
Yeah.
And we're only in the beginning.
He does a very thorough job of making sure we understand.
We do, and I don't think he beats it over our heads.
And still, if you go to Facebook, the Horizon's Facebook page, I'd say 70% of people are saying I was confused. And I'm like, how can you be confused? He's telling you over and over what this movie is about.
And I'll guarantee that these people, like these so-called critics that are probably deriding this movie, are probably the same ones that gushed over Lonesome Dove. Yeah. And I feel like, you've got these separate stories, but they're all converging on
I have
one
always
another.
thought Lonesome Dove is nothing but television. It's fine.
Well, it's
I know, but it never jumped out as like anything amazing. It's it's fine, but it's television.
It's a television story.
This is a movie.
Again, it's
this is a big budget extravaganza, and
yes.
it feels like it. It doesn't feel like TV on the big screen. It feels like a movie and I'm excited for a big budget extravaganza. It may be corny and soapy, but so is Titanic. It has this sort of big budget epic feel.
We all know how I feel about Titanic.
Okay, but you're not going to say Titanic is a television show. You're not. It's
No,
just not.
in no way. No.
Yeah. So this is
I'm
the
not
same thing.
engaging with the look. I want to be wrong. I'm not engaging with the critics like, yes, it's disjointed and confusing. I'm not saying that. I just always. I mean, you're right, but I just wanted to be more satisfied by some of the characters. Maybe.
My
think-
only dud was Sienna Miller.
She was a big dud, and again, I get it. Women are whores and moms, but sometimes
No, she just didn't play the trauma very well, and he didn't direct
she
her to
did
have
not
trauma.
play the trauma. He did not. She had trauma for 2 seconds when she's holding her son.
Oh, she should have been going
and then-
crazy. She should. I would have directed her to go crazy, like crazy
Remember
with rage
in-
and tears. She should have been going crazy.
What's
and
that
Sienna Miller's
Christian
capable
Bale
of it.
movie? She
What?
is. What's the Christian
Hostels?
Bale movie?
Hostels?
Hostels.
Yeah.
Okay, remember when Rosamund Pike and she just starts digging at the ground and freaking out?
starts-
And
Yeah,
she's crazy
yeah.
for
She
half
does
the
a
film.
great freak
Yeah,
out
yeah.
scene.
That's
Exactly.
a great performance.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and
Um,
why not
I
get
forgot all
Rosamund
about
Pike
that.
That's
for
what
this?
I
I
wanted.
forgot. There
Too
you
bad.
go.
Well,
I
that's
forgot.
for sure.
I forgot all
Get a
about that
Rosamund
Rosamund
Pike,
Pike.
who's
Yeah,
got
that
the
was a good one.
substance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's phenomenal in that movie, which
you know,
also has a shitty, corny end, but still.
Still, but
tough to
you've
get
got
a
all the
Western
right
right.
people in that. It is. But you've got all the right people. You've got all the right people in
Yeah.
Hostels, just like you've got all the right people in Horizons. I mean,
Yeah.
I
you know,
agree.
when
And
you know,
Sienna Miller is the right person. He directed
She
her
is.
badly. Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
well,
And I think
when
she
when
and
I see
Sam
her-
Worthington are a good couple, but
Yeah.
I needed more of her trauma before they get
Well,
to that
I'm
point.
I'm reminded of the Postmen, and I think, and I was watching Thunderbolt and Lightfoot today. So Kevin Costner, like Clint Eastwood, has his fetishes that kind of ruin him. Clint Eastwood has his fetishes that ruin him.
Oh, really?
And Kevin Costner's Kevin Costner's fetish is married women. Just like in The Postman. And
See, I've never seen The Postman. But,
Yeah,
Me
The
neither.
Postman's a weird one.
but Dances with Wolves in a sense. I mean,
Yeah.
she's still
She's married.
technically married because of the, whatever
Yeah.
their culture says. You are still bound. She has to wait for.
Yeah, no, it's his
the
thing.
decree, the
That's
annulment from
3
the,
movies now where
the native
where he's
papacy.
dealing, like, you couldn't have just had that he was a widower or something. You couldn't have. He has a
Yeah,
daughter.
that would have made it more interesting. I don't
Yeah,
know if they're
it
trying
has
to
to
throw
be
in
he's
those
married.
modern ideals. Because let me ask you a question. One
Yeah.
thing that's, and look, this is my ignorance, but when they're using words like indigenous, and I mean, were those words that they were using back then? I know it sounds crazy,
It didn't.
but
No,
I don't
no.
think so.
yeah,
I think
not
they're
a
just-
oh, the
chance.
indigenous,
I
the
think
indigenous.
he's trying. I think he's trying.
Why
to
don't we
avo-
just
He's
say
trying to
the
sidestep them
Indians, the
calling them Indians
brownskins?
all the time. Yeah.
Well, or just say the
Right.
brownskins, the
Yeah.
redskins.
Yeah,
and we
I-
get it.
Even guys on their side wouldn't say
Now, I
indigenous
know-
in a million years.
No, it's
Now,
He's
Tatanka
sidestepping.
Means, Tatanka Means apparently had some demands when he took on the role, and part of it was he wanted to see his people in a more sympathetic light, which understandable, and I think we do see the natives in a sympathetic light. I mean, there are no clear heroes or villains.
Well, I would argue against
well,
that. I would say if I was
not
in
the way that we would
if I was
think.
in the whining liberal camp, I would say they focus mainly on their horrors. The end.
The
the
onus
end,
is definitely on the horrors of their
the
making.
last scene tries to make up for it, but even still, I don't think it quite does. I
The
think
horrors?
It's
I'm sorry.
the horrors of what of their actions.
The horrors? I'm sorry. No.
No.
the
like-
horror.
The whole. Oh, the
Well, I
horror.
guess that's.
But-
The movie did have hookers, so it's
But the
not,
first scene,
hardly
the
my
first
faux
scene,
pas.
the first few scenes, they're just heartless. They seem heartless in there, and they don't seem like people pushed to the edge. They seem like people are just committing cold-blooded murder.
Well,
And when you
I
have
agree,
the
but I
native
think
guy chasing the kid too, it just
Yeah.
seems like, oh, these kid-killing psychos,
Yeah. So I would say
Well,
that,
especially with joyful music.
I don't know.
well, I wouldn't even go joyful. I would just be like clueless.
Okay,
like what?
I guess
what
I
is
didn't
this
see it
Oddly
that way. I
exuberant,
didn't.
though.
triumphant
didn't see-
theme.
Yeah.
Look, I didn't necessarily see it that way because I did see that. Yeah, they are cruel and heartless in the beginning, and I
Yeah.
think kudos to Kevin Costner for not pulling punches.
Yeah, and there's
But then
that.
when we
there's that.
pull the mask off and we see them back in their camps and the conflict among themselves, like with the elder chief, who's trying to say that why it really does kind of echo the Japanese admiral who, after bombing Pearl Harbor, said, "I'm afraid we've awakened a sleeping giant," and he essentially says something just like that.
Yeah.
About you don't know what you're doing with these white men.
You know what he says, Alex?
Well,
There's nowhere we're going to stop this wagon train coming.
The wagon train.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't say that, but he might as well have, since everybody else
But
said
he said
it.
something
Since
like
everyone
that. He
else
said
said
something
it.
But
like
it makes it sound like I'm making fun of the movie. I'm not. I don't care that people keep pontificating about the future that is inevitable. Fine,
Yeah.
that's Kevin Costner's thesis statement. But I think he could have dug a little deeper on the Apache side as to what a threat they are and how they're going to keep taking it. They're going to keep taking
and also
that land.
the Apache lifestyle. The thing I always resent is we're not seeing their day to day, and I just think we deserve to. And the Apache tribe deserves that because they were vast and they were, an ancient culture and things like this. So if he is going to bring them up, then we should see as much about their lives as we see of everybody who in these like shitty frontier towns.
And where was
And that's the part of the story.
Where was
Is
the
it
Apache
possible?
umbrella socks to the head? There was no socks
where
to the head
indeed?
on the Apache
Where
side.
indeed?
So, but anyway, again,
Right.
you still have to maintain a pace. So,
Yeah.
I
And we still
understand
have
that, but I
part
just
two,
also
so-
think, what is the priority of the storytelling? And that's the other thing. I'm just like, we could snip some of these monologues about wagon trains and Manifest Destiny, and maybe show some stuff about the Apaches.
I think the monologues probably could have been. I would give Danny Huston his monologue. I would have definitely cut Michael Rooker's monologue, and I would have definitely cut Sam Worthington's sort of admonishment to the settlers, because it just seemed like that seems awful forward thinking.
I was like, that's lip service
But Kevin
to a guy who seems
Costner,
like...
Kevin Costner, even in Dances Wolves, he's a forward thinker. He always has those forward thinking Union officers. So that's
Right, and they always get laid. So good job, Kevin Costner.
He still can direct a scene. I don't care. I like Sam Worthington. I even like Sam Worthington in Avatar.
Them in sex.
Yeah. No. Oh boy.
Yeah. All right, Alex, Roseanne, and I said our favorite scene is the hilltop scene. What's your favorite scene in the movie?
Who are you addressing?
You, Alex Robertson.
Me.
What was your favorite
so we've already
scene?
said the hilltop. I can't say that, which it was.
But you can.
You
can.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say I agree, but also the mercantile scene with James Russo and Jeff Fahey, who's never been better.
Yeah, it's good to see him sort of
you know,
evolve into a great actor.
Because for all the rounded corners in that scene, there was a lot of tension.
Yeah.
Still, I'm teasing. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be.
I don't mind your mockery, Alex.
It's
Do you
still
think
COVID.
the
I'm
scene
still
would have been better
recovering.
if he killed the
No.
native?
No, because I think it would have. I don't know.
It would have had an edge.
It would have.
I
had
was
an
thinking
edge.
he could have killed the scene. The could have killed that person, and it might have had that sort of unforgiven, sick to the stomach feel in the kid. You know.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's true.
It would have been harsh. But anyway.
But again, and remember, this is only part one. So again, if Costner is smart,
Well, the other movie's in the can, and I imagine
the
John
can.
Debney's finishing up the score as we speak.
you better get on the phone. Send him some examples. Here's
Can
what
I
you
say-
strive for.
Really fast, just to bring up one more great scene, which would be Luke Wilson
Yes,
admonishing.
that's my second favorite scene.
Best.
Are
Where
we
I was
talking
like,
about
okay.
The
you
Brit.
see
I think
when
the
men
British
are
guys.
working?
Yes.
The Swedish.
Yes.
The Swedish guys
I
was
was
good,
like-
but him admonishing the British guy was
No,
awesome.
that is a
Admonishing the
great
British
scene.
guy. I'm like,
Oh, I'm
if
sorry,
there's
I'm
there's
sorry.
still America left, that's the America I want to believe in.
Right.
Which was just that's
Right, and Luke
That was
Wilson
it.
and Patrick Wilson, not even brothers, but they should
not
be
brothers, but great. Right.
kindred spirits, and both actors who should have had bigger careers. And
Agreed.
it's great to see Luke Wilson, and who is a fantastic actor, on that show Enlightened. He proved it for once and for all that he's amazing, and he's never given the chance until now. And he carried. I couldn't wait to see more of him, and he was hardly in the
Same.
movie.
Yeah.
But he's still, like all great actors, he feels like he's in the movie more than he is. You know,
Yeah.
he left such, and that's
loves-
what
yeah,
I
he
just want to
leaves
say
an
for the
indelible
record. That's the
mark.
difference between Oppenheimer and this. Oppenheimer, it does feel like The Love Boat, where everybody's just sort of waltzing through with their cameo, going, "Hello, here it is, it's me, Casey Affleck, showing
Yeah,
up."
no.
But in this movie, everybody owned the scenes that they were in, and that's
Well, I
the
think
I
difference.
will
That's the
say that's
difference.
true. Yeah, like who'd you say? Will Patton? Is that the guy's name?
Yes,
Yeah, Will Patton.
I love them just sitting around being men at the
Yeah.
when the wagons are circled talking about things. I'm like,
Yeah.
he barely talks, but he seems like a dad to those like tough ass daughters, and he seems like a guy who's hauling a wagon.
Yeah.
I thought he was great.
Yeah.
Jeff
I think
Fahey,
they're-
James
No.
Russo, everybody.
Sure.
Everybody in
But
the
see,
movie.
I think that's the difference between and I think credit's got to go to Kevin Costner. I could go with the big names, but I'm going to go with the big names that I know can fill this. More than big names, more than the name, I want to go with the ability, knowing that this person would fill this role. So when you get Danny Huston in the role of that general, it's because Danny Huston can fill those shoes. The same with Luke
I
Wilson.
could have honestly. He seemed like a distant cousin to what's his face from Dances of Wolves.
Jesus Wolves.
In a way, without going mad. Yeah. what was
Yeah.
that?
I was gonna say without being crazy.
He seemed
Without being
like I was
crazy.
like again one of Kevin Costner's fetishes, the sort of the chubby faced, full of soup general. So I don't
Just
know.
like that poor the guy who was in Braveheart who became all fat and old and
Yeah,
he's sitting by the fire, writing with the coffee. I'm just like, okay, he does have a penchant for this scene too. So you do see kind of the wheels
Yeah.
with Kevin Costner.
But
so
but he
be it.
doesn't get he doesn't go the Irwin Allen route.
What is his name? Maury Chaykin? Is that the actor's name?
Yeah, Maury Chaykin. That's
Yeah,
the guy.
yeah.
Thank
Boy,
you.
it finally came
no,
to me.
But
Yeah.
but like the cast of Thousands type movies. I mean, Oppenheimer is just like
no, but
a
it did
rehash.
feel
of,
like Irwin Allen. It did not.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It
No,
didn't.
yeah.
And everyone is a
Agree.
gimmick. The only reason why they're in it is because of their name, not because of their
Right.
ability.
Right.
You
Right.
know.
And James, come here to say, James Russo's hair cut and face were so good in a Western. I
Yeah.
will say that.
Well,
Isn't it
Open
funny?
Range. He's in Open Range.
Open Range. That's right.
Well, I
He's
haven't
the-
seen him in anything since Beverly Hills Cop, so seeing him looking so great in that Mercantile, I was
Yeah,
like, well,
yeah.
that's a treat.
Well, Open
But the
Range
last-
is 2000.
his
Open Range
last-
is 21 years ago, and he looks
21
about the
years
same.
ago, and then let's not forget. Yes, he looks the same, and let's not forget Django Unchained at the beginning with.
Oh, right.
I mean, again,
Yeah, geez,
it's
I
that's
funny,
totally forgot
this
about that.
this
Yeah.
urban
Yeah.
actor, this guy that made his bones, as an urban type character in the '80s, seems to have found a home in westerns.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
he's
and- but
last
he's
of the
got
grizzled
that
faces.
he's
Hey,
got
but
that
look
great
at
grizzled
John
look.
Beavers. John Beavers, who I finally realized
Yeah.
he was on Animal Kingdom. That's where I was like, I've seen this
Oh,
guy
the
a lot,
TV
but I
the
couldn't
TV
remember
show,
what.
yeah.
And he filled that part really well because he's a tall
He
drink
is
of
a-
water,
Yeah,
you know.
he is.
And when he kicks his brother, that was a great.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
a great
Yeah.
shot.
Well, and let's not forget, I mentioned earlier to you that John Beavers had that small but significant role in Licorice Pizza. He was the
Yeah.
creepy guy, number 12, that's
Yeah.
stalking the campaign office,
Right.
And just his presence, he's got that presence that, really does, ew, this guy,
Yeah.
in the words of Jeff Fahey, this won't be healthy.
I will say those guys did seem like Dale Dickey's sons.
They
Yes.
did.
So,
Well, even the
yeah.
father, they seemed
Yeah.
like progeny. They seemed
Yeah.
like
For
a
sure.
bunch of slow-pedaled inbreeds
Yep.
with nothing but murder
Jena
on their
Malone
mind.
also doing good work.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
You know.
Surprising. No,
And
great work.
okay, so let's argue a little bit about this because you don't like her, but I liked what's her name, Abbey Lee. I thought she was good.
Yeah, I did too.
I didn't. Again, I'm just, I don't know. What am I? I'm over the like pretty Western whore. Again, I was telling I'm just like, when I think about Western
I
whore,
think she made it her own. She did not seem like, look, it's Brooke Shields playing a whore.
Yeah.
She seemed
Fine, and she was fairly nimble with the dialogue, and I thought she was
Yeah,
good and
I
weird.
thought it was
but
a
at some
pretty
parts,
well-
I almost felt like we're a little bit Elizabeth Berkley-ish. I'm like, she was weird.
she was I think she
She's a
was
little weird.
she brought a lot of electricity to that part. And that's a tired part. And
it
she,
is a tired
That's
part,
and
but
she, I thought, put a stamp on it. And I'm going to give both
I
Costner
agree.
and her credit, because ordinarily I'd be like, oh yeah, the 25-year-old with the 7-year-old man, and I bought it. I'm like, okay, I buy this. I'm not scoffing. The only thing I scoffed at was Sienna Miller's eyeliner, and rouge.
It was the bronzer. The bronzer was the big
Well,
problem.
I feel like you go back to the old westerns of the 40s and the 50s.
Sure,
where they were all,
but
they all
she
had
did
that
do
glow.
She did do Foxcatcher, and she did do American Sniper, where she was dowdy, and she could have been hard.
true.
And again, my big pet peeve from our Bone Tomahawk discussion is Western women who don't look like they could exist. She again, Sienna Miller can exist in the West. She's a beautiful woman whose angular face can look harsh and mean, and she and Costner chickened out. That's my feeling. They chickened out because she can go ugly and dowdy and probably leathery, leathery and tough and still beautiful, but at the same time much more rabid and much more angst-ridden than he let her go there. And I would have definitely directed her to be much more wild-eyed and tough.
And she can be crazy-eyed. That's another thing that Sienna Miller can do pretty well.
Yeah. Even Alfie. Even when she first burst on the scene in the remake of Alfie with Jude Law, she was amazing.
Right.
Like, she was amazing. So she's got the goods.
She's like crazy, right?
Yeah, she's like the tripper girlfriend, with the beautiful girlfriend who's totally messed up inside. And, she's got the goods, and it was just, that one was like baffling. Like, wow. I haven't been so disappointed since Gene Triplehorn in Waterworld.
Har, har, har.
Another great Kevin Costner venture. But anyway,
Again, I am sick of, what is that movie I saw, speaking of Clint Eastwood, The Mule, where I had to watch him have sex with people who were 25 years old. I'm like,
Okay,
and then
that's-
again, watching True Detective, where Woody Harrelson has sex with Adriana, what's her name? And I'm just like, all right, Me Too meant nothing. I have to watch all these shitty old men have sex with these hot ladies, and I'm over it. I'm sick of it.
But in Abbey Lee's defense, she was playing a prostitute. And she was trying to lull him to a deep slumber so she could escape. So I give her credit for that one. It wasn't there. I thought based on the previews there was gonna be a romance, but there was no romance.
No.
To it. So
I liked her creepy interlude with that guy.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah.
I'm telling you, there's more edge to this film than you're giving it credit for.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a lot of conventional blah, blah, blah. Let's face it, Michael Rooker's discussion about his girl dying and going back to Jesus, all said through his mustache and beard, and Irish eyes are shining.
Come on.
Give me a break.
Come
Give me
on.
a
Don't you have... I
break.
was tearing up.
Come on.
I teared up.
I did. No, I'm with you, Gino.
I teared up. I said,
And I loved his
Oh,
beard.
that's Michael Rooker. What a kind man. And a fine hat you've got, Mr. Rooker.
Yeah, and I'll say he was a bit more believable. He could have been more over the top, but he wasn't.
Yeah,
I thought he fit.
He's always been a little wooden in my opinion. Anyway,
Yeah, well,
it's
he's
part of
just
his part of his charm. He has sort of a strange delivery, and I thought he did
does.
fine. I thought he was fine.
Because he's an unconventional actor. I
Yeah.
don't think he was trained as an actor, in the early days. Just has that big personality that, he's good in front of a camera.
I thought
He's
he
got-
did just fine for the part he was playing.
Yeah,
I would have snipped his monologue a bit, but
found his role to be wildly conventional and bordering on silly sometimes. So
come on.
And
but
there
even-
all that umbrella shit. Come on.
I love.
And all he has to
I
do
love
is
popping a
show
kid.
her.
There's nothing like popping a kid. But again, full credit for the 25-year-old man and the 12-year-old girl, because that was the Old West, and them giving
sure.
clips of her blanket. I like that.
Yeah.
I was tearing
And-
up with that too.
And I like the fact that definitely Kevin Costner seems fine with all that.
Yeah.
So, why shy away from
And
it?
not
that's true.
he shied away from again, he threw an indigenous, which I was a little perplexed. A little maybe minus 0.5 on that. I don't know. It seemed a little like, why did you have to do that? But ballsy enough to have the actual ages of what people would, even Sienna Miller's husband looked a little old for her. You know, and
You did.
I thought that was good. I thought those are good
Well,
touches.
and I like the fact that none of those guys are looking at Sienna Miller like she's hot. They're
Yeah.
looking at her daughter,
Right.
which I did appreciate.
And
I'm
what's
like, well,
what's his name? Tim Gooney, one of my from The Night We Never Met. My favorite little supporting player from that little gem,
Her
The Night We
husband?
Never Met. Yeah, he was in Iron
Yeah,
Man
and
too.
he's
in Iron Man, and he's in John Carpenter's Vampires. He's one of those solid actors who always works. And there he was.
He's in Personal Velocity. He plays Parker Posey's husband that, of course, gets cheated on because he's got that face.
Yeah. 99 Homes. He was in that. He's always good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's good.
Yeah. I guess the bulk of it. We're gonna wrap this up soon because I have to.
Yes.
The bulk of the goodness came from the performances for me, and just the overall direction of action from Mr. Costner. Which
Also, let's hear it for Utah, shall we?
yes,
Making
Utah.
Southern
Bringing
Utah.
it home, bringing it back to America.
Southern Utah.
I was thinking,
like, all right.
please don't tell me they filmed this in Vancouver or British Columbia, because
No.
I would have been sorely. But bring it
No,
home
if
back
you,
to America.
Right now, all it says on IMDb, Utah.
Yeah,
Now I do know
St. George. They filmed it in
they
St.
started-
George, Utah.
Yeah, that's southwest Utah.
Yeah.
That's near Zion. I think they were near Moab, which is a few hours away. So all those great monument
Yeah,
Monument Valley stuff,
places.
yeah.
But
It's a
even
shame
outside
Burt
of St.
Brown
George,
and Dave
you got a lot of
Johnson
that.
aren't here because they could have commented on where exactly they were filming. Because
Some of it looked awfully familiar. I mean, and we've gone to visit and gone to Zion and Hurricane and St. George, that area. And you're only like 20 minutes from
Monument
nature.
Valley. Oh,
No, not Monument Valley, but Zion is like 30, not even 30 minutes away from that area. It's so you think that it's going to be half a day to get there, kids. Nope. You're there in less than 30 minutes. I mean, you're in a national park, beautiful national park.
It's the same director of photography as Open Range. I forget his name at the moment. I always do that.
Monroe,
one.
I think, or
yeah,
something. Monroe
but
or Bureau.
though between him and Costner, they know how to set up a shot. They know how to make a movie. It's not TV. It's a movie, and it looked spectacular.
And I like that they're consistent with the shootouts. The shootouts are sloppy.
Yeah.
Just like in Open Range. I mean, it's that's one thing that's conventional right there that gets tiring. The dead eye shot. The guy that can shoot behind his back and
No, he has to shoot Jamie Campbell like 6 times.
He has to empty that damn gun just to kill the guy.
Yeah.
I like the truth about shotguns. The fact that Jena Malone doesn't kill that guy.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would survive that, which is just such a pain in the ass.
Just burn
But I think
with
they said something
buckshot.
about buckshot. Yeah, buckshot.
All
They
over
spread
his
enough
chest.
buckshot on him.
Yeah.
Enough to just
And
slow
like half
him down.
his face is gone or whatever. Whatever
No,
they said.
it
I
was-
was like, oh, that sucks. That
I don't
feels
know.
like
There
an
was
old
enough
boy's
edge
nature.
to take it to the finish line for me. I think.
Okay.
And I love the closing with sort of the montage of here's what to expect.
Well, people. Okay, that's another thing that's irritating me. They're criticizing me. They're criticizing the film for that. A couple of critics criticize that
think it's
that
great.
they did it in Back to the Future 3. They
fine.
did it in Matrix 3 or Matrix 2 to 3 or Back to the Future 2 to 3. They have a coming soon kind of feel, which I'm completely fine with.
Which
And
is
I
fine.
don't understand. Again, the criticisms seem nothing but hypocritical. Like, no,
Petty.
these things
They're
have happened
petty.
before. Petty. You guys are, confusing. The movie's not confusing at all. I mean, nothing confused me at all in this film. Like, no, this is a pretty straightforward story about, white settlers taking Native American land. And
Okay, that is just madness. I'm like, if anything, it's just not. They could add something confusing. Actually, I mean, just like the film is not confusing.
Not at all.
No, I know.
People are
Just saying,
confused.
next time, I hope for a little more depth and edge. Can I just say that?
Well, we'll see what happens.
See,
We'll
it
see what
won't
happens in
happen.
part two.
Giovanni
probably.
Ribisi shows up,
Yes,
and
Giovanni
maybe
Ribisi with his
Weaselly
little
mustache.
his sliminess, yes, his slime ball, vibe that he brings, that he's so good at bringing.
Okay,
I want to
but
know when
seeing
Thomas
the
Hayden
daughter
Church.
run off with the Apache kid who's
Yeah,
wearing the hat.
yeah,
I was
that's
like,
true.
We'll
see, though.
We'll see. Maybe he handles it well.
Again.
And you can do anything as
Well,
long
what's
as you
his
do it
name?
right.
Mowgli score. We'll do well with it.
Well, we'll see. Okay. Well, we've pretty much covered it, and without without putting a heading on each subject, but we've covered the cinematography, we've covered it all. Overall, it's a Kevin Costner film, and I think Kevin Costner is a pretty good director. Yeah. He's not Sergio Leone, he's not Sam Peckinpah, but he pays homage to them in a good way.
He learns from them.
And I think he's
a
good director. You know, he's always been.
I would say he's a director. What? I don't know if he's a good director. He's a director.
I think
he does make films.
His movies have more of a stamp than your Sean Levy's, than your, you know, Michael Mann even. I'd take Kevin Costner over Michael Mann any day.
I would too.
So there, that's pretty good. And Michael Mann has been nominated for. Who are the hack directors who always get sort of lauded as being these visionaries? Barry Levinson. I'll take Kevin Costner. I'll take Costner over Barry Levinson any day. I think Barry Levinson has one hit, and that's Rain Man. Oh, sorry, The Natural. He's got The Natural and Rain Man. Costner's got Open Range in this.
God, The Natural was basically made by Kevin Costner.
And what? Again, a solid American movie.
You American nerds.
I am an American nerd. I am. And nobody's making America movies except Kevin Costner. And he knows how to do it.
I'm with you on that.
It's not Michael Bay, who's a fucking moron, you know? And,
I agree.
And Tom Cruise is
And there's nothing jingoistic about this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is America, warts and all. You know, he doesn't pull punches on the manifest destiny, you know, and it's like, you know, I'm not defending the manifest destiny, but I kind of think he gets into the mindset that we are God's chosen. You know, I mean, take it what you will, but America, like any country worth its salt, did not begin, you know, with a handshake. I think of Cormac McCarthy. You can't have, You can't have regeneration without violence. I mean, it's like when you think about the
right, but Cormac McCarthy takes it to the primordial base. I want to see
Blood Meridian as a movie. I don't want to see it.
I'll
take Kevin Costner's conventional view of it. I'll take it. I don't want to.
Never the twain shall meet.
I don't want. Does anybody really want to sit through Blood Meridian? I don't.
But I think, in a sense, we did in this movie without getting into, you know, like the scalping scenes. They're just as disturbing as they are, and a lot of it's really left to the imagination and the thought that, you know, that great line about, you know, it's supposed to be Apache scalps, but do you think they can tell the difference between any other tribe? And I don't think that was a racist thing. It's just like a scalp is a scalp. Yeah. So, in other words,
also that they don't care.
They don't care.
They're not looking for
and
the
that
difference.
Was something about the Clanton gang, I guess. They didn't care. It was about the money. It was about the scalp. You know, no one's gonna. You know, let's check the DNA on that. I mean, you know, there's a scalp. Here's your $100.
A Western that I love is Jeremiah Johnson, and it does talk about. And that's one of my favorites. And I think it talks about natives in a genuine way without it being eye-rolly and trying to be progressive in any way. And I just think I want that from Kevin Costner, which was just a matter-of-fact way of things. And he couldn't muster that.
I don't think Kevin Costner's that guy. Roseanne. He's not that guy.
For what he does a
great
why
did he tell it? Then what story is he's telling? The story of Manifest Destiny. So,
but he believe it or not, he
it's
still
really
wants
more
to.
about America,
he still wants to do black hats and white hats, kind of Western, I don't fault him for that. You know, sometimes your movies do have to be Braveheart, and they do have to sort of take liberties and be entertaining. And I think this.
In no way do they have to be that. I think Jeremiah Johnson is a wildly irritating.
I don't think Jeremiah Johnson's an entertaining film. I don't think it's good, but it's not an entertaining film. I don't think Jeremiah Johnson's. I haven't seen it in a while, but I always thought it was pretty sober. That's a pretty sober movie, you know.
I love it.
It's a good movie.
You know, it might be worth a watch. Maybe
for sure. When we do the Robert Redford trio.
I think so.
Okay.
But I've already done The Natural, so I can't even figure out what would be part of the Redford trio. But anyway,
I don't know. Well, would you include Butch Cassidy, or is that really more?
Well,
Cassidy.
so we got to
Anyway.
do Paul Newman. So I guess,
Yes.
yeah. Anyway, let's not get into what we're going to do.
We
Anyway.
won't.
Let's keep it a
Okay.
secret for our voluminous fans.
Yes.
All right, so after
The movies of Steve Gutenberg.
don't forget Matthew Broderick and
Speaking of Lady Hawk,
Kevin
oh,
Bacon.
Kevin, oh God, please.
Yeah. Anyway,
killing
okay.
me, Caputi.
All right. So after an hour of yelling and screaming and a cussing, we still Alex recommending this film.
Yes.
I'm recommending this film. Roseanne, you gonna recommend this film to Western lovers out there?
Yeah.
So who would you not recommend the film to? People with taste.
Commies.
You read my mind. People who like good things.
Oh, come on. You've admitted I think you've even admitted there's more good scenes than bad scenes.
I don't think there's more good scenes than bad scenes, but I think there are good scenes, and I think there are great performances. Okay, so this is the question. I would recommend it to my mom and dad.
Yeah.
Our mom and
Yes,
dad.
I would too.
Good
And
point.
I really
Good
would.
point.
I'd recommend.
I'm
Yeah.
curious to see come August what we're saying when part 2 comes out.
Right.
Same. I mean, I will see that, and I
Oh
look
yeah, no,
forward to
I'm excited about seeing
know?
part 2.
Yeah.
I really am. I really am.
Me too. And just as much as I was with Dune. So, and I liked it. I feel like I liked it as much as Dune. I like the big sprawling epic quality of it. And so, yeah, I liked it. And I don't care what you say, you old snoot.
This is a
All right,
family
so
dispute I'm just going to back away from.
get ready to draw, kid. All right.
Save it for Gutenberg.
I save it all for Gutenberg. All right.
Oh, boy.
With a little touch of Rob Lowe. Coming after you, Lowe.
My personal friend. Yes, my buddy. All right.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining for this very special podcast. Follow us on Facebook and watch us on YouTube and Rumble. I've added Rumble to the equation.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so you can just see me anywhere. All right. And you too. The two of you as well. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you for listening to Fabulous Film and Friends. Copyright 2024, a Bel Air Films production.